We carry at the moment in excess of 1,400 cases at the unit. We cover from Cape Town to Salodis Pass Village and out on the N7 to Atlantis. It encompasses 24 police station precincts and 12 courts. We work from 7:30 until 1600, but we render a 24-hour service. You also have to remember that the police isn't necessarily regarded as the friend of the child in every community. The perception of the police, that which they may have heard about us, could be very negative, which explains why we are here where we are, in a building, in a civilian building away from a police station. It has to do with more than just being central to our area. Every week or every 10 days or so we would go out to make arrests on existing warrants of arrest or on new cases. And then we would round up 10 or 12 or however many suspects we get in that allocated time, and we process them. Practical sense for us, because they have to sleep, and you do have cover of darkness. You can go into the areas, especially your informal areas, because you can't always drive up to the guy's front door. You have to leave your vehicles behind and walk in through the shanties. You can't. You don't have protection, so you have to have the car guarded at the place where you leave it, all the cars. Then walk in, get the suspect out, and get him back to the vehicles somehow.
In February this year, we received a case about a girl. She's 14 years old at the moment. She was having problems at school, vomiting, feeling uneasy. She's at the moment staying with her aunt. Her aunt is a guardian. And then they've discovered that this girl is pregnant. And then they interviewed the girl and asked the girl, where is the pregnancy coming from? Because you can't just fall pregnant from nothing. And at first the girl didn't want to mention anybody's names. And then they said, okay, fine, they're calling in the police, which they did. And then the investigating officers sit down with the girl and ask her, you have to have sexual intercourse to fall pregnant, so how come you're pregnant? And then she revealed and said that her father, her biological father, whom she visits every weekend from Friday to Sunday, has actually sexually assaulted her, raping her from the age of 12 years old, which means for a period of 2 years, this father was actually having sexual intercourse with his daughter.
There's a guy going on a bicycle. Most of the children are sent to the corner shop for bread or milk, especially like 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening when they have to get supper. Then they're sent to the shop to go and buy milk or bread. And this guy then gets to the shop, takes the children, take them on his bicycle, and take them to the bushes and rape them. And the children are severely raped. The injuries are very, very bad. And we've got like 5 or 6 children now that's been raped by this guy. And I remember the one girl said that she was like telling me what happened, and she said that this uncle said that he's going to take me to the shop and giving me ice cream. And then she was like devastated. She said, but he passed the shop and I didn't get my ice cream. And he actually did pass the shop, and he took her to the bushes and he raped her. So, and this child really got hurt. She was very badly injured.
You have to fight with the doctors. And in my experience, you can't do further investigation because the rape victim has to be attended to. It's the most crucial evidence that you've got in your case, number one. And now to be shunned around by the doctors, like if it is a piece of meat that's sitting outside there, meantime it's a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, then you've still got to go back to your victim and explain to the victim why she is not so special that this doctor doesn't want to examine her, and you've got to explain to the mommy and the child that we have to go to the next doctor. The same procedure, you open a folder, you do your normal things, and it comes down that the doctor doesn't want to examine you, and then the whole routine starts all over again.
We've had cases where just to get the medical done on a busy weekend evening could take 4.5 to 5 hours.
I've had an incident at about 11 o'clock, and the child was only seen that evening at about 9, 10 o'clock. The ideal would be to have 4 doctors to rotate and for the court proceedings.
In more than 95% of our cases, we know who the suspects are. Not because we are brilliant detectives. We have 3-year-old children who tell us who the suspects are, man.
Unfortunately, 90% of the cases we have, it's a family member or a person that is very well known to the child. The father is the only one working in the house, which means no one will come forward to say that the father is abusing the children, because if the father has been taken away, then they've got no financial substances in the house, and the mother will actually sometimes blame the children by saying it's because of you. Now we don't have any money, we don't have any bread, we don't have a house anymore, because a lot of these things will be taken away from them.
If if she's siding with the father, there has been such a betrayal to the child, and they would do anything to please mom.
In the 5-day week in which we are now, we have 73 cases in court in 5 days, not counting arrests that we may have made since Monday.
If we interview the child and we take out on tape, it's not admissible in court. So the child still has to go and testify. We make use of an intermediate system where there's a linked TV, television in court. So the child would sit in a room with the intermediate, but still the child has to go to court and testify.
We would obviously like all cases to be in the camera room, but our law and legislation does not provide for that at this point in time.
But your main problem is at the regional court level, where you need to get a court day, and there are so many cases competing for court dates. We still have cases on the court roll now dating back to 99 and 98.
It could be as simple as the earphones in the camera room not working, the magistrate being sick, the defense attorney being sick, the state prosecutor being sick, and then the whole system is thrown out. Children come here and they have to go home with the very same worries.
A child can develop a lot in 3 years' time. So she was 10 when she was raped. She gets to testify when she's 13 and a half. Physically, she looks very more mature now. She looks very together. She's had counseling, you know. Physically, she doesn't look that much smaller than the perpetrator. We have forensic social workers, unfortunately at the moment only one, and her main task would be to elicit disclosures from children who aren't able to make statements voluntarily to investigating officers. We've entered into a contract with the University of Stellenbosch, in terms of which the psychologists who are now doing their internship at the university will render psychological support services to some of our victims. Obviously, they cannot see more than a limited number of people.
So we show them with puppets, who's who, the state prosecutor, the lawyers and all that. Then we would teach the child relaxation exercises.
We have forensic social workers outside of the police service, but unfortunately they are professionals in private practice and they need to be paid for their services.
We've got such a lack of social workers. And we as the investigating officer, we have to be the social worker, we have to be the priest, we have to be the mother, we have to be the father, we have to be the grandmother, we have to be everything. Whereas it would have been so much easier if we can just recommend the children. We do have social workers, but it's always a problem, you know, finding a suitable social worker for that one victim. We've got so many victims.
In other countries, you would have a social worker who could pick up the phone and call the child to make an appointment. Over here, they need to visit the child's home to see whether or not the child is actually there, and maybe get them in once every 4th visit. So ultimately, the victim is a victim again of secondary abuse by the system, basically. In the last 2 years, we have had 15 life sentences handed down and over 1,300 effective years of imprisonment, which isn't bad, given what we're up against.